Welcome to the Saga of the Clone Saga, aka the Clone Zone, a podcast presented by the students of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're reading and talking about the entire infamous 1990s Spider-Man Clone Saga. My name is Vincent Faust, and today I have with me...
I'm Billy.
I'm Matthew.
I'm Michael.
And introducing our special guest...
Damone. I'm sponsored today is the Cowcast, our Batman-themed podcast. We recently reviewed Heart of Hush, which will be up soon.
Yep, go check that out. And now
You're not Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's Kid Arachnid.
Yep.
Right.
So today we're talking about the Crossfire arc. Crossfire is a crossover between the issues Amazing Spider-Man 402 and Spider-Man 59. We're at a cover date of June 1995 now. We're actually skipping over a tiny piece of our reading order since Web of Spider-Man 125 comes between Mark of Cain, our last episode, and this. But see our next episode for why we're doing that. So starting off with Amazing Spider-Man 402. This cover is already stupid.
This cover actually is great because the burning Aunt May inside the orb is how we all feel reading the issues at this point.
That's a good point.
We're unable to cross on. We're just in constant pain.
Yeah,
the
cover
this is
text
the best
here.
Spider-Man I've ever read.
The cover text here is the battle for Aunt May's soul, which
That doesn't happen.
that's like a very minor, like 2-page thing in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, Bagley is Spider-Man on this cover is slightly cool.
I mean, Bagley Spider-Man is always good.
That's an opinion.
So the creative team here is DeMatteis and Bagley as usual. And Mike, did you appreciate? I think it's the very opening. This Jacob Raven in the Gotham Inn.
No. No, I didn't.
And like Pete comes out of the shadows through the window to talk to this old detective. Totally a trash reference to some Batman stuff.
Oh,
I'd rather just read Batman.
Yep. See the Cowcast for that.
I'll be honest, I entirely missed that.
Well, wait. See the Cowcast for the other episode we did of Batman Under the Red Hood, also coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, like kind of cute reference, then there's just this page with like 20 captions on it. And I'm honestly so tired of DeMatteis' writing.
Yep.
And it's probably just the fact that we've been reading so much of this, and then because of the crossover nature, he's always right next to other writers.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's this page of Judas Traveller going on and on with his fake deep philosophy and musings on life, and I'm like, this is terrible. I don't care.
Traveller's a shit character who we hate anytime he shows up.
But he's at the top of New York.
Yeah. Which I guess that's some kind of thing.
Judas Traveller
Is that actual sign that exists? I've never seen
We're at the bottom of the barrel of reading good comics.
But he brought along a friend, and we see Scryer again, who we still know absolutely nothing about. And I want to specifically highlight that Scryer officially claims here that he has been Traveller's sole confidant for hundreds of years. I'm just playing that kernel. I'm doing a little Claremonting because that's going to come back later. Spoilers, it's a total lie. And so Judas Traveller, his power set just expands and expands. Now he can turn into a fucking bird.
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of disturbing, honestly.
It's like a human-sized bird too. It's not a small bird.
And
well, he's not going to change his size. Just because he becomes a bird doesn't mean he changes his size.
it's totally pointless too, because we've seen that he can like totally just teleport anywhere. And like he's not using it for like we don't see why he turns into a bird. Like he's not really using it for like stealth or reconnaissance. He just turns into a bird.
It just
And
went
it
back
doesn't
to
Make Roman look strong.
Well, that'll happen later tonight, Billy.
And Pete comes home to MJ, and they get into a minor argument about the baby and him focusing on all this bullshit. And I don't want to go into this too much because it'll be on our next episode, but he totally doesn't tell her about his run-in with Gwen Stacy, which I guess should take either right before this or someplace within this issue. And I feel like even if he fully resolves, like, oh, it's this clone, it doesn't matter, blah, 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 she walked away, I don't know what happened to her, like, might want to mention to your wife that you ran into a clone of your dead girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then, so we've been following that she's been tested by Seward Trainer, Ben Reilly's scientist friend, in case there's any problems with her pregnancy. And she gives Pete a piece of paper, and he doesn't have a positive reaction. The baby might be deformed, but maybe not, which is like no different from the status quo they were at before. I don't get this whole test thing.
This is terrible because like right before, Trainer gave her the test results, and she's like, "Oh, this is terrible," but we, the reader, didn't know what it was. And now he gave it to Pete, and we still didn't know what it was until the next page, where maybe it's deformed. So what was the point of dragging us along? We already knew that. Like,
but it's still a strong maybe. Like,
right.
Maybe there's a chance that like he narrowed it down, like, oh, there's a 20% chance that your baby's deformed, as opposed to that he might be deformed. But like, there's no information here.
No, nothing.
And they basically resolve it. They're like, we'll love the baby no matter what, and we'll have the baby, and like that kind of that resolution, which totally happens here, like slightly gets ignored later, somewhat understandably. But then Judas Traveller walks in on them, and I thought he was using like some sleep gas type thing, but it's his teleporting powers with gas.
I actually like to imagine that Scryer's is standing behind him with a fog machine.
Scryer's just his hype man.
Because
so confident for years. You gotta play your boy up.
Because he knocks MJ out, like she passes out, and Peter's there, but then they teleport.
Honestly, I wish the Traveler was still a bird at this point, to be honest.
In this panel, like this entire page panel, like Traveller is giant. Like he is a massive man, and I don't remember him being that tall.
I think it's just the art. I don't know. Yeah, he becomes like twice as tall as Pete.
He's just height, man.
He has many powers.
We also get an editor's note from Danny Fingroth referring back to the last major appearance of Judas Traveller, where he claims that Power and Responsibility is already a classic.
It's already something.
Doesn't that feel like 1,000 episodes ago?
Yeah.
It does.
And then we just get more and more powers. He's able to make Pete entirely immobile, like writhing on the ground, unable to move. Then he uses his empathic powers to impart his 100 years of pain and sorrow onto Pete.
Wait, he's only 100?
I don't know. More than
hundreds of years.
He is the kid on the playground that just keeps on making up powers so they can never get beat.
No, I can do this.
Little shit.
Then he whips out a sword, which I guess we've seen him have this entire time, but he actually
No, hold on. So I think the situation now is that the gas or whatever knocked him out, and they're inside of Pete's mind right now.
Yeah.
So these aren't actual powers he has, or maybe they are. I don't fucking know.
I really hope they are.
You could explain it. They're just mind powers.
We gotta get Dave Mateus on the show and just start grilling him about Judas Traveller.
I don't even know if I want to.
I think Billy's right. These are his mind powers. His real powers are turning into birds.
And
causing city streets to explode.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, he still whips out a sword in this mindscape and starts slashing through Peter with it, but it doesn't harm him.
No.
And I was like, why is he using this sword?
There doesn't seem to be any point.
Have you seen the sword? It looks very cool.
Not really, even.
No, it just looks like a normal sword, man.
It's just a sword.
It's like gold and
I'm sorry, it's gold and it has metal on it. Wow, what a cool sword!
Yeah,
Never seen that before.
I mean, it matches all his excessive amounts of jewelry.
It's just more bling.
I get it now. All the jewelry, the long hair, the mustache.
He's King
Judas
Arthur.
Traveller is just an older version of Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he also wears 2 belts for some reason, and neither of them are around his waist. They're kind of just like strung.
He's a combination of Johnny Depp and Tommy Wiseau.
But he also has a little bubble now with Aunt May's soul in it, which is creepy as hell because her old wrinkly face
is just the disembodied head.
And somehow he caught it while her soul was traveling to another plane of existence. And he makes a bargain with Pete.
He attempts to make a bargain.
Yeah, if Pete erases someone from existence, at first it's like 100 people, then it's 6 people, and then he's like, you just gotta erase one person from existence. And he uses the word him, so like, I don't know if he's trying to refer to like Ben or something, because he uses like him, like he's talking about a specific person, but that's not clear. So it could just be a totally random person. If Pete agrees to erase someone from existence, May can come back. And like this slightly, I was picking up some slight retroactive irony because it's pretty similar to One More Day.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
But as Billy explained, we're in Pete's psyche, so he's in control, and he pops the bubble, and his aunt's soul flies away. She's free.
That's a great image of Aunt May's head flying off into the distance.
Look how relaxed she looks.
Yeah.
She looks so happy.
She's so at peace.
She realized she no longer has to be part of the Clone Saga, and she's free.
And so then Traveller takes Pete back to reality, but not really. At least 24 hours into the future, and New York is totally in ruins, and somehow Peter causes it, and that's our cliffhanger, a huge splash page.
Well, is it really a huge thing of how Peter Parker Spider-Man would cause this? I mean, after all, he is a menace.
Yeah, but like,
Spider-Man's a menace.
Look at these the 2-page spread or whatever, where like this building is just tilted over. It's not even like completely destroyed. It's like half the building is just gone and it's just slightly tilted over.
Yeah, that's just not how physics works. But
also, this is like what's supposed to be in like 48 hours. That's a lot of damage to cause in that amount of time.
Well, stay tuned, Michael, because we're going to talk about how that could happen.
I'll say John Romita Jr. draws a better destroyed New York City.
He does.
True.
And so moving into Spider-Man 59, this is an even worse cover.
This is a lazy cover.
It's just exploding Spider-Man.
So here we have our regular team of Howard Mackie and Tom Lyle. And right after the last issue ended with a double-page splash of New York destroyed, now we pick up with a double-page splash of New York destroyed. And
actually, I like this one less because there's just such a clutter of buildings, just like all twisted and tilted in ways that don't make sense, and there's just random people just like strewn across the top of these buildings.
That makes it so much better, though.
The proportions are not quite right on all of them. Like some of these people, the people and the buildings, actually, it's just really horrible to look at.
So we explained the way that earlier Judas Traveller, his weird powers, you could pass them away because it was in Pete's mindscape. But now he gets probably his most ridiculous power yet. He can manipulate the space-time continuum.
Look into the future.
Because of course he can.
Yeah, well, I think most people who can turn into birds can also manipulate space-time continuum. I think Beast Boy can do that, right?
Of course, that's like his main power.
Yeah, I thought so.
And so, of course, Pete immediately rushes to check whether MJ's okay. And while he's getting there, he rationalizes this reality by saying it's not much crazier than everything he's been through, including clones, and more clones. But like, this is definitely crazier than all that.
Yeah.
I would say so.
It's not the craziest thing he's experienced, but compared to the things that he tries to compare it to, yeah.
He's literally at that point of like, this might as well happen.
I think he really just doesn't care because he's a menace.
We get another editor's note from Fingeroth where he hopes we've been along for the whole ride of the Clone Saga, and boy have we. And Pete comes across MJ. She's alive, and she's just kind of awkwardly standing in the window while New York is destroyed all around her. But Pete can't get there, and he can't even call out her name due to the strong winds.
That are happening because they're there. It's the windy time.
Don't you understand? When there's no buildings in New York, the winds.
I mean, that's just science. If you take the buildings away, there'll be the wind there.
I think my favorite part is like this is how he decides that this he's in the real world now, that there's wind. How he decides, like, oh my god, there's wind. She can't hear me. I'm in the real world now. I have to be.
And so Judas Traveller transports him back to the present, and he tells him it all will happen, but he can prevent it. Which, like, whatever.
Sure.
And apparently what's going to cause this is there is a geothermal heating station at the East River, and the host is going to sabotage it, which is Traveller's gang of nobodies.
Yeah, I didn't know his posse had a name.
Yeah, and
every posse has to have a name if it's respectable. That's how it works.
The host is a lame.
True.
Yeah, it's a terrible name. Because every time he says it, it makes it sound like he has like a master himself, but it's just weird, like mutant weirdos,
Or like a parasitic worm.
Yeah. And he totally explains. He's like, the host answers to him completely, and he could stop it if he wants to, and he kind of wants to, but his stupid philosophical experiments on the nature of evil mean that he has to go through with this.
I do want to note that he's no longer wearing 2 belts. He is instead now wearing 1 large belt.
Shout out to the art team. So Pete, really quick, stops and checks in on MJ, says, I love you, and then he goes and fights these losers.
Can the Traveler turn into smoke himself?
I don't.
Yeah.
That's what he does a while back.
Fucking maybe.
He appears as like a dust cloud.
I know Billy is a fan of Chakra. My favorite member of the host is definitely Mr. Noct, who diligently takes notes during this entire fight.
That's all he does.
He's a note taker. He's great.
And Pete just kind of beats them all, but then it doesn't matter because it turns out the destruction is caused by a transspatial time vortex in the sky caused by Judas Traveller.
This book.
So no matter how you cut it, it's Judas Traveller's fault. If the geothermal thing went off, it's still Judas Traveller's fault. It's not like, oh, Spider-Man, Spider-Man didn't cause this.
Yeah, but Scryer also directly says that.
Yeah. Well, because Scryer's like, dude, you messed up, and he attacks him. Traveller's attacks him.
And then I don't understand this. It's like the space-time continuum has to like reclaim Judas Traveller's soul or something, and they do this trippy artifact that they tried before when Pete had his weird heaven experience.
I kind of like it in this console. I think it looks interesting.
Yeah. I mean, maybe visually.
Neat. I don't know what's happening, but it looks neat.
And there's I guess flashbacks. I don't know if this is just like here's history, but I think it's flashbacks to Judas Traveller's life.
He was at the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
Wait, is he Judas?
The betrayer.
Holy shit! If that's how they were planning on explaining this, I think I might have to stop reading comics forever.
No, he'd become my favorite villain, even more than Clone Peter.
He was at the crucifixion. He was also at the Salem witch trials.
And you say, "Hey guys, remember the time when Spider-Man fought Judas?"
And I guess that last one is the atomic bomb on Japan. One of them,
or a test. Maybe he was at a testing site. I don't know.
I just had a thought of, can we at the end of all this, can we have an in memoriam for the villains we lost along the way?
We're
Jack.
gonna have to. Especially Jack.
And Pete grabs his hand and stops him from dying, preventing the destruction and making the transspatial vortex disappear. And I don't understand how this works.
I don't. At this point, I just go along with it.
It's like the space-time continuum is. He's like, I need to reclaim Traveller, and I'm gonna destroy all of New York while I do it. And then Spider-Man takes Traveller out, and the space-time continuum is like, well, I guess my plan's been foiled. Gotta blast, and then he just leaves.
I'll be back soon. Plan more for next time.
So yeah, I think this is the worst arc of the Clone Saga.
Wow.
It's not great.
Right time then.
I think it's pretty on par with Clone Saga as a whole.
Yeah, I don't know. What would everyone say? What's the worst thing we've read so far?
This.
Well, Timon doesn't have a lot of
Timon, what's the best thing you've read so far?
I mean, I don't
also
even...
this, believe it or not. It's wild. I both love and hate it.
It's not the worst written one. It's not the worst drawn one. But like, this is not a Spider-Man story in any way, and it doesn't. And the story itself doesn't work no matter what context you put it in.
But is it Spider-Man Unlimited?
No. But like, I hate this.
Then it's already better.
I hate this more. Those are at least mostly Spider-Man stories.
But they're truly awful.
But they're impossible to read.
I really hate this.
You know what road rash is? Reading a Spider-Man Unlimited issue is the equivalent of getting road rash.
I thought you were talking about the video game.
Nope.
So does anyone have any final thoughts on this terrible arc?
It's over.
No, I'm glad it's over. This last image of Scryer holding Judas Traveller like a little baby is the only redeeming thing in this entire story.
All right, let's take a bet. How many more issues until Judas Traveller comes back?
I don't know, but I'm dreading it.
Not nearly enough.
See, the thing is, we know that we have like 40 issues left anyways. So there's a solid range that you can put for how many it will take for him to show up again.
How many more issues? I'll talk about that in the next episode.
So yeah, that's this episode. As referenced earlier, next episode is covering the bookends of this arc, focusing on a new Green Goblin and actually getting back to some dumb clone shit, which I was honestly missing reading this trash. So
Fine.
tune into that.
Well, that's also going to start like in a few minutes because you're getting a special double Clone Saga this wonderful Sunday afternoon.
What?
We do this for you, all of our rabid fans.
All 0 of them.
Yep.
There's like 3, maybe ish.
Nah, it's just us.
We love you though.
Thanks for watching, and peace.